Please, please don't let me have ruined my sleeves. Hello. So finally doing a sewing project. I feel like I have my sewing space in our new house kind of set up enough that I can work on a project. So we're gonna get started on the Hamilton jacket. That's the game plan. I have the pattern, I have it already cut out and everything. I've started mock-up number 1, but I already know that there's some changes I wanna make. So we will be moving on to mock-up number 2. That's the game plan for this video. I'm sure it's gonna be quite the process. From what I've seen, there's going to be a lot of new stuff. I have a feeling that this is going to be a project that kind of helps me level up my sewing game, which I'm excited about. I know it's going to be a very involved project, but I'm excited to get into it. So I have collected a bunch of materials that I have never worked with before. But yeah, I'm excited to get into this, and yeah, let's just jump in. So here is my current mock-up. I've only got one sleeve on. But so this is the current mock-up, and then this is the back. So before we get too far into it, I'll just kind of go over kind of what I would like to update about it. So I realized that this is meant to be a historically inspired garment. However, I would like to modify it just a bit so that it still has that historical inspiration, but I would like to be able to use it in my everyday wardrobe. So I do want to lengthen it a bit so that it hits more my natural waist versus my rib cage. And then the front, yeah, we'll just lengthen it a little bit. I'll try it on again and figure out exactly how much length I would like to add to it, and then we'll go from there. So yeah, let's do it. Such a creaky table. All right, I'm gonna go ahead and stop you right there. To be completely honest, I have no idea what I'm doing when it comes to changing or modifying patterns. I kind of just play with it until it works. I've done about 3 or 4 mock-ups at this point, and I think I finally got it figured out. I think I know exactly what I need to do. I've gone ahead and traced and retraced and retraced, so I think I have the pieces that will work for how I want to modify the jacket. So that's the good news. The flip side of that was, after a week of doing mock-ups, I was feeling a little defeated. And then yesterday, there is a fabric outlet in this area, and it was something I had been wanting to check out for a while. So I was like, all right, well, I'll just go check it out, see what they have. Shot in the dark that maybe they would have something that might work for what I wanted. And I found this. So if you've seen any of my other projects, I have a thing for plaid linings. So this is a silk that they had on sale and it was kind of perfect. So yeah, we'll be making our Hamilton jacket with a silk plaid lining. And if that's not perfect, then I don't know what is. So I'm feeling more energized and more excited to work on this project. Adding this to the list of materials I've never worked with before. But yeah, so I'm definitely feeling more excited about this project, kind of feeling a little bit more energized, and I'm excited to finally get on to actually cutting out the real pieces and starting to get everything together. So for the other fabrics that I'll be using, I bought piping, or I bought cord so I could make piping. I have some horsehair canvas, and then for the outer fabric, I have black linen. And I will be flatlining the black linen with the black cotton that I originally was going to use for the lining. I intentionally bought a lot extra because I knew I was going to want to flatline this per the instructions. So I'm going to flatline this with the black cotton, and then we will line it with the plaid silk. So that's the game plan, is to just get everything cut out today And yeah, we'll get started on finally working on the final garment and get out of the land of mock-ups. So that's the game plan. Let's do it. I've got them, all the pieces basted together roughly. The front two pieces that make the front of the jacket, I have those basted together. Gone ahead and thread marked the darts, the fold line for where the interfacing needs to go, all the markings for that. So those are all ready to go. And then I've gone ahead and started making all of the trim. So these are for the leaf motifs that go on the front of the jacket. So I have all of these done. So I just need to trim off the excess cord so they're the correct lengths. But yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and get the leaf pattern kind of marked on the front of the jacket, get these trimmed up. But I think I need to get those on before I can do the horsehair canvas and start to do some pad stitching, which will be a new activity for me. I've never done that before. So yeah, and then I've also gone ahead and cut out a bunch of squares for the little ball decorations or berries or whatever they're called. I made a couple of these just to kind of go through the process. Not my favorite thing to make. So we'll see if I make the rest of them or not, or just go with the leaf pattern. I figure I'll get the leaf pattern on there and then maybe put one or two on there just to see how they look and see if that's something I want to make the rest of them or not, just because they are a little finicky to make. They're not my favorite thing to make. And then I still need to make the trim for the crisscrossing tree pattern that goes on the sleeves. I still need to make that, and I still need to make the double piped cording. So yeah, we'll probably be making a lot of cording today, and then we'll go ahead and trace out the leaf pattern on the front of the coat jacket, so I can start stitching those down this week. So yeah, so let's get started and we'll see how far we get. All right, so I have I don't know if this is gonna show up or not. You kind of see it. So I have like the first like little leaf stitch on here. So I think I'm just gonna get them kind of like roughly stitched on there, and then I can kind of really stitch them in place more securely during the week. So yeah, so I'm just gonna get these stitched on and then secured. And yeah, we'll go from there. 2 weeks later, I am finally done with the trim work. I'm done with the trim work that I have decided to actually include. I've decided not to include some pieces of the decoration for this jacket. So I've done the leaf motifs on the front of the jacket. So there's 3 little leaves on the front on each side. I'm pretty happy with how those came out. I will say those took me the longest. They are very tedious. I had a lot of difficulty stitching those on. Looking back on it now, there's probably a better way I could have done it, but they're on. And unless you know that they're messy, you can't really tell because it's black on black on black. So, yeah, so I'm happy with how those are on. I'm glad they're on and they're done. And then on the sleeve, there's a crisscrossing kind of tree pattern. So I've done that as well. I'm pretty happy with how those came out. So those are on. So next step, I've gone ahead and cut out the canvas pieces that I'll need for the front interfacing of the jacket, and then I've also cut out a piece for the collar as well. So I'll probably go ahead and get the pad stitching on these today just to get that started, because what I really want to do today is I want to start cutting out the lining. I am dying to cut into this silk fabric and get the lining together, because honestly, that's what's pushing me forward on this project. This has been a very long and detail-oriented project. I'm very happy to work on it. Like, I'm excited about it. I'm excited to see the whole thing come together. But this has definitely been a very intense project, as I knew it would be. So that's what we'll try to get to. So yeah, I guess that's it. I guess we'll get started on working. This tripod just went up a little bit higher without me having to extend the legs, because it's like, hi. So like I knew what was going to happen, I got through part of what I wanted to do today. So here's what we got. So this is just one side. So I've got the stay tape. I've got it all along this outside edge, and then I went ahead and added it to this inside edge as well. It seemed like a good idea. So I added that in, and then I also stitched along this fold line so that it kind of just like naturally wants to fold out. So I've got one side done. My other side is still lots of pins. So yeah, it's already, let's see, it's almost 5 o'clock. So I don't think I'm gonna work on this for too much longer. That's as far as we got today. Looking through the pattern instructions, it looks like once we get past this step, we can start stitching together the actual like body of the jacket, start stitching all the pieces together. And then we will do the lining. So as much as I want to cut into that silk fabric, we still might be a ways off. And part of me wants to cut it out anyway, just because I want to do it. But just the pieces that I have, it frays really bad. So I know I should wait and cut it out closer to when I'm actually gonna use it to minimize that. I just really want to cut it out. But yeah, I'm happy with how the interfacing has gone in. I think it looks nice-ish. It's a little messy, but you know, first time doing it, I feel like it looks pretty good. I may go ahead and start sewing some of the bigger pieces together. We'll see how far we get, and we'll see how this week goes before next weekend. Yeah, I think that's it for today. And probably take Odin out. Do you need to go out? Do you need to go outside? I think that's a yes. Well, hello there. I have finally been able to stitch the jacket together, and I'm so happy with how it looks so far. It's yeah, I'm very, very happy with this. I like the length on it. I was able to keep the style lines in the back. Like it's really come together very well. I had to make one adjustment in this underarm area. There was quite a bit of volume here. So I brought it in about 2 inches on each side. So that's just something I'll have to keep in mind once I get to finally cutting the lining out. I have to make that adjustment on that as well. Because I did do that, it did affect the size of the arm size. So once we set in the sleeves, we'll have to probably make some adjustments there so they still fit, but very happy with how this looks so far. I still need to put the waistband on, which I believe is the next step. So I'll probably jump to that next. But yeah, this is super awesome. I'm super happy with this. So once we get the waistband on, we can finally cut out the lining. I'm so happy. I'm so excited to cut out the lining. It's gonna be awesome. So yeah, finally moving forward. Finally moving on to the next step. we have the lining put together. I'm super happy with it. I didn't even try to do pattern matching because no, I love it. I think it's gonna look awesome. So these are the facing pieces for that lapel area. So that's why there's those black stripes there. So yeah, this is the lining. I've got the belt on here as well. So now just need to get it attached to the outer portion. It has the sleeves completely separate per the instructions. So I'm just going to focus on this part for now. I do think I might have to mess with the sleeves a little bit just because I ended up taking in that side seam a little bit. So it does make the arm side a little bit smaller. But we will get to that when we get to it. So yeah, so I think I'm going to go ahead and get this pinned together. I might go ahead and get it sewn together so I can bag line it. And then we'll tackle the sleeves from there. My goal is to try to finish this week. So yeah, super excited. It's gonna be great. All right, so I just attached the lining and I'm so happy with it. It looks so good. Okay, so I did do the bag lining. So first I took the piping and along these edges and I went ahead and basted that down. I was a little unsure how this was gonna go through my machine just because it's a lot of layers, especially at this front lapel part, because there's the fashion fabric, the flat lining, the canvas, the linen tape, and then piping, and then lining. So it's just a lot of layers. None of them are particularly thick. It's just a lot of layers. But it went through fine. So first I just basted down the piping along the edges because I knew I was gonna have to pin that, and then pinning the lining on top of it is kind of a pain. So basted the piping on, and then and that went fine. The only kind of like weird areas are up here by the collar, but I'll talk about that in a minute. So basted all that on, and then I attached the lining along these edges. The piping kind of meets in the middle, so I'm just going to tack this little part together, or maybe I'll keep it as a little V. I don't know. We'll see how it looks. But I do need to put these ends under and kind of trim back the cord, like the inner cording here, which is these little white specks that you can see. So yeah, so super happy with how that came out. So when I turned it inside out, I actually left the collar portion open, and turned it out through there, just because, again, there's a lot going on here. One, with all the layers of the coat, and then plus, you know, we've got the collar on top of it. So I just tried to make sure that when it's turned right side out, I tried to keep in mind how the piping will be layered here. So this piping that goes along the lapel kind of goes behind the collar here. So, but you can see, like, I don't know how well you'll be able to see on camera, but it's a little messy. So I left this part open, turned it out through here, and then I'm gonna hand do this part, just so that I have a little bit more control over it. I can make sure things are getting hidden properly. And yeah, and then once I get that done, the body will be done. But yeah, I am very, very happy with how this looks so far. All right, awesome. All right, so this is a little midweek evening update kind of thing, because I'm still very determined to finish it this week. But I've made some progress on some pretty significant things that I should probably document. Okay, so I did do a sleeve mock-up, so I could figure out exactly how it needed to change, since I did make the arm side a little bit smaller. So I just cut out a short sleeve basically. And I sewed that together, the upper and lower part. So I sewed that all together, and then I roughly I didn't even sew it. I just kind of like pinned it in place, a whole bunch of pins, into the arm side, and I did need to make it a lot smaller. So hopefully we'll be able to see this. So this is the underarm piece, or the under sleeve piece. And because I did take it in at that side seam, which is where this part of the sleeve, this is not going to be easy to see or easy to explain. All right, so this is the under sleeve. So this part here is what is stitched to the under part of the arm side, which is where I took out those 2 inches from the side seam. Hopefully that's clear. So I pinched out that extra, and it was about this much. This is not showing up at all. You can kind of see that little triangle. I took out like a little dart from this piece. I ended up doing the same thing on the upper sleeve portion. So this little flap here is that dart that I took out. I think inherently there was supposed to be a little bit of fullness in this sleeve head and this sleeve head. So I tried to take that out. Now here's the scary part. So I took this, and then I ripped it apart. So it's the 2 pieces again. And then I laid that on top of the sleeves that I spent over a week sewing trim into, and recut the sleeve head. This could be a terrible, terrible idea. So yeah, that's what I did. So here is the somewhat finished sleeves. So this is the one of the sleeves. So this shape here is I cut that. My nice sleeves that I spent so long embroidering. I cut them. Oh boy. Okay, so I also went ahead, put these all together. We've got the trim. We've got the trim along the edge, but then we also have the lining on the inside. So something I want to go back and do on the main jacket. If you remember, on the center back where the trim meets, there was that the little V that I was considering keeping. But when I did the sleeves, hopefully this will show up. There you go. You can see that. You can see where I've like overlapped them here. It looks really clean and polished. I want to do that on the main part of the jacket. So that's the plan. And then obviously I need to attach the sleeves. So I have both sleeves done. So yeah, they just need to be stitched onto the jacket. And hopefully we don't run into any devastating problems because I cut the sleeves. It's all going to work out. It's all going to be fine. It's going to be great. I didn't ruin my sleeves. Please don't let me have ruined my sleeves. All right. She done. I'm so incredibly happy with how it's come out. This is the most involved sewing project I've ever worked on. There were so many little bits and pieces that had to come together before I could actually sew the whole thing together. The level of detail on this jacket was absolutely crazy, and I'm so proud of myself for sticking with it, finishing it, and actually like doing a good job on it. Like, it looks very polished and put together. Like I said at the beginning of this video, this was definitely a project that I knew was going to help me level up some of my sewing skills, and I definitely feel like it did. I have the tendency to kind of rush through things because I like to finish things. Like I just want them to be done, and so I can move on to the next thing. And this project definitely kind of reinforced what I already knew, is that sometimes you just need to slow down and do all the steps, and kind of just enjoy the process as well, which I do, but it's definitely one of those things where I feel like I like to rush through them. I like to finish things, which I don't think is bad either. So I think just finding a balance of those two things. But yeah, I got the sleeves to work. They were a little bit of a pain. When I bring my arms forward, it is a little tight in the back and under the arms. I don't know if that's because I messed with the sleeves or if it's just part of the design of the coat. I'm not positive. But yeah, I'm so happy with how it came out. Thank you for watching this video. If you made it to the end, thank you. And hopefully I will see you next time. Yeah, now we just have to figure out what we're gonna make next. So I realized that this is meant to be, and I'm done with the twerp. Is this lighting okay? I keep messing with the white balance on camera because I'm not sure. When it happened, I got through or what I would use it. Excuse you. See how long this video is, because my rough edit right now is about an hour long and this part isn't even in it yet. So